Namaskar and welcome to the 10th edition of our special series on India-UN partnership to mark 75th anniversary of United Nations. Listeners may recall India is one of the founding members of the world body. Today, we are observing World Children's Day.
The day offers each of us an inspirational entry point
Promote,
to advocate and celebrate children's rights.
translating to dialogues and actions that will build a better world for children. We have with us Dr. Yasmin Ali Haq, UNICEF representative in India. Welcome, Dr. Haq.
Thank you and namaskar to everyone.
Listeners, at the outset, I would like to brief you a little about the profile of our guest.
Dr. Yasmin Ali Haq has been the representative in UNICEF India since July 2017. Before then, she was the Deputy Director of UNICEF's Office of Emergency Operations with a leading role in the programming and policies of an effective response for children in humanitarian crisis. Dr. Haq served as the first UNICEF representative in South Sudan from 2010 to 2013. She led the UNICEF Ghana office from 2007 to mid-2010.
As Deputy Representative in Sri Lanka during 2004 to 2007,
she was responsible for guiding and coordinating the UNICEF program of support as well as the emergency response to the 2004 Asian tsunami. Dr. Haq first joined UNICEF in Bangladesh in 1996 as Project Officer for Health and Nutrition. During this tenure, Yasmin contributed significantly to national policy analysis and strategic planning for maternal health and maternal mortality reduction. A national of Bangladesh, Dr. Haq holds a degree in medicine and surgery from Dhaka Medical College and a master's of science degree in health systems management from London University. Welcome to our program, Dr. Haq.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Haq, you represent UNICEF in India. It has contributed a lot towards the welfare of children. As we celebrate World Children's Day, what is the theme this year?
So, first of all, thank you very much for really joining us for children, by children. And it really marks the adoption on the Convention of the Rights of the Child, which was signed on November 20th in 1989. In India, we have a week-long program of activities and events that are started with the National Children's Day on 14th November, going up till the 20th. And this year, we're really focusing a lot on climate change because that is a key theme that young people across the world are talking about. They're talking about the risks, the action, and they are advocating with governments across the world to take action that is needed. So we have been working very closely with the Parliamentarians Group for Children. We are organizing a climate parliament with children on the 20th under the leadership of the Honorable Vice President, Shri Venkaiah Naidu. We're also expecting our Honorable Minister, Smriti Irani, to be present, and also 30 members of Parliament. For children, it's really important that they present their charter on climate action. And we hope that even in this COVID situation where children are also wearing masks and maintaining physical distance, that we hear their voices still, that they will be masked but not muted on this World Children.
Dr. Haq, when we talk about UNICEF, the idea that comes to mind is one of immunizations or meeting the nutritional requirements of children or say espousing the cause of rights of children.
For the benefit of our listeners,
can you share what are the key areas in which UNICEF works and what are the major programs in which UNICEF has been associated with the Government of India and its agencies? And how effective has been this collaborations?
So UNICEF has been present in India for 70 years. Last year, we celebrated our 70 years. And it's really been a proud time for us because we have partnered with the government, with civil society, with industry in some of the real notable achievements for children. Just to give you a few examples, we've been proudly with our partners working with India to end polio in India. We've worked a lot in bringing parity into education, enrollment. We've been a proud partner with the government on Swachh Bharat, which has led to amazing achievements And of course, the Poshan Abhiyan is another area where we have been working very closely with the government in addressing the whole issue of malnutrition.
Yet another aspect of collaboration is generating evidence based best practices. India has been one of the most active contributors to UNICEF. Can you share some good examples?
So one of the best practices, as I mentioned, is of course the Swachh Bharat, how we have worked to change behavior towards using sanitary latrines, and also designs and how government and communities can work together to bring about this change. The other example that we take from India is that of setting up the integrated child development system, whereby we see in Anganwadi centers how children come together for early stimulation, for the parents to be educated, for nutritional monitoring. So these are some of the good examples that we have been portraying that India has contributed to many countries across the globe.
From Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao to Mission Indradhanush to Safe Motherhood programs and the National Nutrition Mission, to name a few,
India has undertaken a series of policy measures for the benefit of women and especially of children.
how do you look at India's achievement in this area?
So India, of course, shows a wide toolkit for other countries to look at, because we have such differentiated programming that is needed given the different situation in all the states in India. So when we look at areas like, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and the work that is ongoing as part of that to reduce underage marriage, to reduce child marriage, we've seen how in different states, there has been a big push. It's been a political imperative to stop child marriage, but it's been accompanied by the type of incentives that are needed. So, for example, we see social protection measures or social protection schemes that have been announced in states like Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, whereby families are eligible to schemes when they have girls born in the family. And it's an incentive to keep the girls in school and out of marriage. So we've seen really a halving of child marriage in the past 10 years or so. Of course, a lot more needs to be done. But we've been working very closely in generating the evidence to show what are the solutions, whether it's for reducing child marriage or for reducing under 5 mortality, neonatal mortality, and of course, looking at issues like increasing immunization, especially in areas that are more underserved. Looking at through data, looking at who are the population groups that are left out, trying to look at strategies that are more relevant, say, among the marginalized groups or in tribal areas or in urban poor areas. So it's very important for us to work hand in hand to bring evidence and solutions working with government. And the big impact we have in India is that government then takes it to scale. So it's been really a good partnership around these issues.
Well, listeners, we are in conversation with Dr. Yasmin Ali Haq, UNICEF representative in India. Dr. Haq, we are living in an era of COVID-19 pandemic. It has thrown open several new challenges. One of the concerns has been that the pandemic might have delayed the immunization schedule for millions of children across the globe. Mm-hmm. Then there is this issue of tackling malnutrition and safe motherhood program. How UNICEF has been trying to overcome these challenges?
So you're very right. And this has been one of the bigger concerns as a COVID impact. We say that, when you think of COVID cases and COVID patients, it's not usually a child. So you don't see the child's face. But the impact of COVID and the measures to contain COVID have had a huge impact on children. So we know that immunization and other essential services such as nutrition services were on hold for a number of months. Our focus has been in supporting the government, especially the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Women and Children, to see how we can support them in reopening the services, in starting the service in a manner that also looks at catching up with the lost time, and also in a manner that allays the fears, because we know COVID has created a lot of fear among families. So
Yes.
families, even if a service has been opened, the families have been reluctant to go and avail of the service. And a lot of our work has been to prioritize that in our communication, to look at the community engagement, to enhance the uptake of the services, because it's crucial that we make it up. And the good thing about immunization is there are technologies, there are strategies for catching up on immunization. And so we cannot afford to lose the gains that have been made through the hard work of all our Anganwadi workers, ASHA workers, and ANMs over the past number of years. And there it's been really important that we support them in really opening up the services in a manner that protects themselves and also the families who come and avail the service, especially pregnant women. Because India had a great celebration around the fact that, we have 80% of the 26 million births every year take place in a facility. This is unprecedented. How we can keep that going, how we can enhance the confidence of the women to come back and deliver in a health facility, because we know that will reduce maternal mortality. It will have an impact on families seeking care if their newborn is not well. So whether it's immunization or it's services for preventing and detecting and treating malnutrition, we have to keep it going. And I really hope our audience will encourage everyone they know to avail the services that are now available.
Dr. Haq, what message you want to give our listeners in this challenging time?
The message is really, first, we have all a role to play in protecting ourselves, our families, and our communities from COVID-19 pandemic. Simple measures. It's wearing a mask. Never go out of the house without your mask. It's about maintaining distance. It's crucial. Not go into crowded places, not go into situations where people are not wearing masks. And the third is wash your hands frequently and really don't cough or sneeze into open air. Make sure your elbow or you have a handkerchief and you wash your hands after that, because these practices, not just for COVID, once we get the hand washing practice, this is something that reduces child mortality, it reduces maternal mortality, it reduces a number of diseases, whether it's pneumonia or diarrhea. So please, 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 my plea to everyone would be, let's all work together to prevent COVID-19. Let's also not stigmatize those who have had it. Let's find ways of working in the community to support them. And I think the third big message I would give is it's really important for us to be aware of what impact it is having on children, whether it's in terms of their learning being disrupted, their basic services being disrupted, them being more subject to violence. We all have a role to play in really mitigating these big risks that children are now facing.
Dr. Haq, talking about challenges, climate change is another one. The dangers are real now. The children are the least responsible for climate change, yet they will bear the greatest burden of its impact. What are the steps being undertaken by UNICEF to tackle this issue?
Absolutely. So children are, they are going to be suffering all the actions that we as adults have been taking. And the thing about climate change is any action we take today is an investment in 10, 15 years down the line. There's no immediate key that you can switch it on and switch it off. It's about practices, behavior, attitudes. And that's why for young people to be aware of what are the bad practices related to climate change, what are the practices that do need to be adopted, not just at an individual and a family and a community level, but also as a nation. Are we really paying this attention? So we've seen globally, children like Greta Thunberg have been really holding adults to account. And for us, it's important that we find ways of giving children their voice, for them also to be part of the solution and not be seen as a passive recipient, because their generation has the biggest potential of bringing about change. And we need our parliamentarians, we need our bureaucrats, we need our civil society members We need our decision makers to hear their concerns, to pay heed to some of the solutions they have, and for us all to work together to really make the world a better place for children.
As we know, world celebrates 75th anniversary of United Nations. How do you look at the role of India as one of the founding members in this Platinum Jubilee year?
So I think the role of India is really one of a leader, because India has the potential to lead the agenda, to inspire other countries, to share the knowledge and learning and technology that has come out of India, which has shown, how India's growth has contributed to global human development over the last 2 decades. When we mark the 75th anniversary of the UN at a time of great disruption for the world, we have to see it as a year of dialogue also. We've seen how India quickly reprofiled so many of the manufacturing units to be able to produce not just for domestic use, and now even open to supporting other countries in terms of masks, in terms of personal protection equipment, COVID-19 testing, various streams of doing it. India is also participating in the testing of vaccines. India manufacturing units have reprofiled to produce ventilators. So India has such a great narrative that can inspire other countries, that can support them with the technology, with the know-how. And this is where, for India to be really strongly engaged in the South-South dialogue is crucial, because if India does not meet the goals that we have, the aspirations that we have for the sustainable development goals, the world will not reach it. So in 2 ways. One is India's continuing to focus on the goals in terms of reduction of mortality, in terms of all the service coverage improvements, reducing malnutrition, and looking at climate change. India has a crucial role to contribute in terms of results in India itself and to sharing its experience across the world.
Well, listeners, that was Dr. Yasmin Ali Haq, UNICEF representative in India, sharing insights with All India Radio on World Children's Day. Thanks, Dr. Haq, for spending valuable time with our listeners.
My pleasure, and thank you so much, and a very happy World Children's Day to everyone.